Hello, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you're watching this. I'm Drew, and we are in the month of March, which means it is, of course, Hemophilia Awareness Month. So with it being Hemophilia Awareness Month, hemophilia pretty much started with the royal family initially. But kind of before that, the Jews were the first ones to kind of realize that there was something wrong. The mothers or the carriers would have sons, and after circumcising their sons, they would be allowed after the second child, if the second child did not survive the circumcision, the third child or the third son would not be required to be circumcised. This kind of threw up a red flag saying, hey, there might be something wrong. So the Jewish families would not have to circumcise their third son because the first two would die from excessive bleeding from the circumcision. Me personally, that's how my parents found out that I was a hemophiliac, because because when I was circumcised, I wouldn't quit bleeding, and so they had to cauterize, which means burn the laceration closed. There's nothing wrong down there. Everything is perfectly normal. It wasn't like a massacre down there or anything. It was just a little procedure. And a lot of people go. Anyways, we're going way off topic. We're talking about my penis here. Anyways, then hemophilia really made a statement when it started becoming the royal disease, which is still known today as the royal disease. The reason that it is called the royal disease is because it really started catching attention when Queen Alexandra and King Nicholas in Europe, or in Russia, they had their son Alexei, Alexandra, all of her daughters that she was having were carriers of the disease. Then she had a son, Alexei, which he was the first known case to have hemophilia, which flat out made it the royal disease. And this is where, I don't know if any of you know who Rasputin is of Russia, but he became very popular, or very well known, in Russia. He was a monk, or I guess you could kind of go towards ministry, but he would go, and every time Alexia would have a bleed or a hemorrhage, Rasputin would come in and he would do hypnosis. He would do like herbal medicines and stuff like that to really try and to stop the bleeding. And a lot of times this would work because the hypnosis would slow the heart rate, which slowed the blood flow through the body. And so Rasputin really became known as the family, I guess now today would be the family doctor. So that's really where the royal disease kind of came into play. Since back in that time in Russia, the royal families would get together with each other's families, so hemophilia really stayed in the family, in the royal family. So it wasn't real known. I mean, of course, other people had hemophilia, but it was really, really known as the royal disease. So that's kind of the main history on hemophilia. The treatments back then were really different. In the early 1900s, they didn't have nothing like Factor that we have today to treat hemophilia. Of course, today Factor is such an amazing product that helps hemophiliacs worldwide. But in the early 1900s, the way that they treated hemophilia was they had family members would gather and give blood, and it would be pretty much a straight person-to-person blood bank, pretty much. Because at this time there was no such thing as blood storage or blood banks or anything like that. So it would be this massively long period of blood transfers between family members in order to help the hemophiliac get the clotting factor into the body. At that time, all they really knew was that the blood from this person going into the hemophiliac was a good thing. They didn't quite know the effect of the clotting factor and all the real technical stuff. So it was just pretty much a blood transfer between family members in the early 1900s. And then jump ahead to 1965. This is when cryoprecipitate started becoming very popular. Cryoprecipitate, or cryo, would be, they would put the blood in a bag and the cryo would form at the bottom of the bag, and this held the most factor in the blood. And so that would be the part that they would store and they would freeze, and the hemophiliac would go to the hospital, and it would be this massive long stay at the hospital in order to get these blood transfers. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, in the early 1900s, hemophiliacs didn't survive. Their lifespan was 13 years old. There was very, very, very few hemophiliacs that would survive past the age of 13. So, of course, we have come a massive way since the early 1900s. So, yeah, go us. And then in the 1970s, factor concentrates started becoming available, which there were still blood transfusions, but it would be more concentrated towards the factor or the clotting side of the health field. And then in the 1980s, a little bit over 80% of hemophiliacs contracted the HIV virus from blood transfusions. Not many of them survived. A lot of them have died since then. And then in 1985, the first viral inactivated factor came out, which means that the factor was being so much more monitored when the cleaning process was going through with the blood, and the products would come out and they would be a lot safer than 5 years prior. Then in 1992, we're almost there. 1992, the first absolutely safe product came out onto market, and it was a product that was not using plasma as I guess you could say the main ingredient. So there was a lot less chance for disease. There was a lot less chance for infection. It was a lot cleaner. It was safer. It was just better. Of course, this product was not. It was still in the beginning stages, so a lot of hemophiliacs were not able to get this product. Came out as recombinant, and it was a fairly new DNA technology that was just released to the market. And then last but not least, we got 1995, which was the last major breakthrough for hemophilia. The word prophy started really making a heads up in the community of hemophiliacs and their families. Prophy is where you infuse, let's say, every other day. Unlike for so long, people would infuse when they started having a bleeding episode. So prophy was to infuse in order to prevent a bleed instead of to stop a bleed. So a lot of people started doing prophy infusions, which today is a massive recommendation from healthcare, from doctors, from hospitals, from organizations, from pretty much everybody, and it's a massive deal that a lot of people are doing prophy instead of preventative. I'm sorry, prophy instead of infusing when needed. So that's great. And then of course today, I mean, there's been just a massive amount of progress that the hemophilia community has come from and come to. There's been talk of a cure for hemophilia for years and years and tens and tens and tens of years. But hemophilia is very difficult to cure because it is found in the lymph node or the lymph gland. So it's very difficult to find it, to pinpoint it, to copy that part of the DNA in order to replicate the clotting factor in the body. So, of course, there's been a lot of talk about it, but again, talk is talk. I'm very anxious for the actual product to start. So, there are products out there today which is really great. They're called half-life drugs, which they're getting really, really close to coming out, where the half-life drug, it will double the amount of time that the factor will stay in the body, or the less amount of time that you have to infuse each time. So they're saying that, you know, that this drug is going to come out and it will last a lot longer in the body than the products that we have out today. Factor is amazingly expensive. I got my my insurance papers, and in the year of 2012, I spent, I think it was $1.9 million on product, on medicine. It's mind blowing how much this stuff costs. Of course, hemophilia used to be, factor, or the medicine, the clotting factor, used to be made with Chinese hamster ovary cells, and that's kind of where the main start was. Is that the clotting factor was found in Chinese hamster ovary cells. So, of course, we've kind of come from that to now. So, anyways, that's your kind of that's your information for the month on hemophilia, and like I said, I'm really happy to be back, and I'm thrilled to start talking to all of you again. It's really exciting. So, like I always say, if you have any questions, or if you need to ask something, or if you need help with anything at all you have to do is hit me up. You can also, I have a page on Facebook for The Missing Factor, which is this show. So if you want to go there, please do so and like the page. It's just facebook.com/themissingfactor. and like that page, and I'm always updating information on there as far as, yeah, check this out. There's studies out there that there's surveys that you can get paid for taking if you're a hemophiliac, or part of the hemophiliacs family. So there's studies. I update studies. I update information. I update about drugs. Anything that's new that's happening, I will put on that page, as well as right here on my video blog. So stay tuned. Check it out. All that good stuff. Anyways, thank you guys so much. I love you all. Please be safe. And I am incredibly anxious for spring to start, because I am beyond tired of this cold weather. So bring on the springtime. Yeah. So with that being said, everybody have a great morning or afternoon or night. God bless everybody. Love you all, and talk to you all very soon.